Donald Trump is now gearing up for his very first criminal trial in New York that is set to take place later on this month. And this week, they met with the judge to basically deliver their list of insane demands for the trial. Now, before I tell you about some of Donald Trump's wacky demands, please understand that this is actually very normal. The prosecutor, Alvin Bragg's office, also submitted their list of demands for the trial. And what you do is before the trial, once things get close, each side will submit their list of things they want and do not want to happen in the courtroom. These can be witnesses that they do not want to testify, something that rarely gets granted, by the way. It could be words and phrases that are not allowed to be used in court, and that is very common. It can be past issues about the defendant or about the prosecutor that do not have bearing on this case that get barred. That's actually fairly common. But Donald Trump's list of demands goes a little bit further than that. Here is what Trump demanded. Well, first and foremost, he demanded that the two star witnesses for the prosecution, Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen, just not be allowed to testify. That is literally like the whole case involves Michael Cohen paying off Stormy Daniels on behalf of Trump, the defendant. So if you can't have the two people involved in the scandal testify, like you don't even have a case. And that's, of course, why they don't want them to testify. But here's the demands. Trump's legal team told the judge on Monday that it wants Cohen and Daniels nowhere near the courthouse, despite their testimony being central to the entire case. The list also contains several other outrageous requests, including keeping prosecutors from showing the jury quotes from Rudy Giuliani from May 2018 regarding the payments, and excluding the infamous Access Hollywood tape in which Trump confessed to sexual assault by claiming he grabs women. We know the rest of that sentence. Trump also filed to prevent any mention of Playboy playmate Karen McDougal, with whom Trump had a covert affair beginning in 2006, and one of Trump World Tower's former doormen, Dino Sajidin, who claimed that Trump fathered an out-of-wedlock child with a former housekeeper. On top of that, Trump's team asked to ban the use of the phrase catch and kill, referring to plans uncovered by the Manhattan District Attorney to kill negative press on both of these stories before the 2016 election. So, like, you can't bring in that doorman that said I had a child out of wedlock. Don't even talk about Karen McDougal, who I was also having an affair with. You know, that was the whole thing with the National Enquirer, that he may have also paid them off. Even though Rudy Giuliani back in 2018 was, talking about the payments that we made, you can't include that. That's a pretty crazy list. Oh, and by the way, the two witnesses who know everything that happened, don't talk to them either. On the witness thing, Trump's going to lose. On the Rudy Giuliani thing, Trump is probably going to lose because that is relevant evidence in the case. The Karen McDougal thing can go either way. That one I'm not so sure about. I think they should allow it, but they may not, and I could understand why they would not. With the Access Hollywood and the doorman claims, I can see those being stricken. Those are not necessarily relevant to the case. This is not about an assault. This is not about harassment. This is not about having a kid out of wedlock. So none of that is relevant. So I'm okay if the judge agrees with Trump and says, I will ban these things because they don't matter in this instance. But banning the phrase catch and kill, that's what this is called. You catch the story and you kill it before it has a chance to be made public, which of course is also what happened with the Karen McDougal story. So banning that specific phrase is probably not going to happen. So Trump has a couple demands in there that are a little far-fetched, definitely not going to happen, but a couple that may happen. And we may see the judge in this instance say, okay, you know what? I'll throw you a bone. I'm not going to allow the Karen McDougal story. I'm not going to allow the Access Hollywood. I'm not going to allow the doorman out of wedlock story. But everything else, including the star witnesses, are definitely moving forward. That is pretty much how I expect this to go, but we still got to wait for the judge's decision.